I'll turn that down. And we're going to come into hero's pose. So we want to have the block portraitish about halfway down the mat. Be nice and easy. You can ease in, check those knees are happy. Bring the knees together, feet wide, and then use the hands to sit back gently. And hopefully find some buttocks on blocks. Depending on how tight the knees are and calves, ankles, etc., that could either be a really easy thing to do, or it might be a monumental challenge first thing in the morning. Once we're down safe, we're going to try and let the chest open up a little bit and lift up, wriggle out the back of the neck, and just place the hands, palms down. We'll close our eyes for a moment and soften the jaw. And start to even out the breath, making a conscious effort to breathe in and breathe out for about the same duration. Sort of over inflating or over squeezing the air out of the body. And then we'll open the eyes and let ourselves lift up. As we move up, we're just going to take the block out of the way, bring the heels back under, lean forward enough so that we can tuck the toes under and give the feet a nice stretch. So with the increasing walking that most people are doing at the moment, it's interesting that your feet actually get a little bit tight and stiff just from the repetition of walking. So it's good to stretch them out in the opposite direction. Feeling the toes open up, the arch of the foot. And whilst we're here, we'll turn the fingers out to the side edge, so thumbs are forwards, and let ourselves bear a little weight down into the hands, so get a bit more of a stretch into the wrists as well. And then we'll turn the fingers the opposite way, so they're coming towards us. And getting a really big stretch down the front of the forearms. And the shoulders draw back a little bit, so you're getting more of a angle into the wrists. Remember, they're going to be cold and possibly therefore a little tight. So just gently as you come down, make sure the heel of the hand stays into the floor. You can start to work on drawing the belly in and lengthening the spine a little bit. Last couple of breaths. And then we'll lift up enough forwards so we can untuck the toes. Lift the hands gently away from the floor. Give them a little shake out. We're going to come on to our spine. So we'll just allow ourselves to use the hands to guide ourselves back. Now I've got the elbows out 90 degrees to the shoulders, letting the shoulders sink into the floor, letting the middle back sink into the ground, so those natural curves that tend to arch away from the floor when we've got the elbows and arms in this position. We're just letting gravity sink us down. Taking a few easy breaths. Again, if you're quite open across the chest, and this can be very easy, but if you've been spending a lot of time hunched over, you might find that this is trickier than it looks. Don't spend too long here. We'll take a long breath and draw the knees in towards the chest. Just take the hands on top of the kneecaps and we'll make some nice gentle circles. So as we're doing this, we're obviously opening up the hips and the groins a little bit, but we're also starting to get a little bit of movement through the lower spine. So letting that pelvis tilt and rock. As you draw the knees in, the tailbone kind of draws towards you a little bit. You can draw the abdominal muscles down towards the spine and just get a little bit of a deeper connection into the floor. And then we'll just let the feet come down to the ground. I'll draw chin in towards chest, right knee in towards the body. Hands around the shin, slide the left foot out. Take a little look as it goes down the center line of the mat. Flex both feet, toes towards sky. Make a little internal rotation in that thigh on the left leg. Sending the hips away. I start to draw the right knee a little more freely into the armpit on the right side. And then we'll draw the opposite knee in. Take the hands around the shin of that leg, draw the chin into the chest so we can see what we're doing. Plant the foot to the floor, slide the heel out. Gradually working into two flexed feet, toes spread and feet pointing skywards. So let the head come back down, lengthen out through the leg, lengthen out through the hips. Draw the knee gently towards the armpit. Using a little bit more force with the arms rather than just letting gravity sort of hang the knee out. Give it a little bit of effort. You can probably tell from my voice that the breathing is very easy. So this is not sort of a grit your teeth and pull. It's a nice, easy, progressive movement to let the joint open up a little bit more fully. Feel those hamstrings getting a little bit of a stretch as well. And then we'll release and bring both feet back in. Okay, I'm going to bring the feet really close into the body. Take the arms out wide. And we're just going to take a surface stretch. So I'm going to take the right arm up towards the sky and then lay it across the chest towards the left. And then lock the right arm, the other arm underneath. Got my arms mixed up there. Whichever way you're doing it, we're going to do the other way as well, so it's not only the end of the lot. You'll probably feel your shoulder blades and your back into the ground a lot more noticeably than you would do if you were doing this in a seated or standing position. I'm trying to keep the shoulders away from the ears, so drawing them down a little bit. Normally gravity helps with that. You have to make more of a conscious decision about that now. And we'll release release the arms out. And then take the opposite hand, which in this case is definitely my left, over to the right. And then bring the right arm underneath and draw it across. So feeling that deltoid stretch, top of the shoulder down into the arm. Feeling the pectoral, getting a little bit of work as well. And then we'll release the arms out. Take them back out again. This time we'll bring the left arm up, right arm over the top, bend of the elbows into equal arms. Bring the palms together if we can, and then ease the elbows in towards the groin. So really able to press the shoulders back into the floor as we draw the elbows down towards the front of the mat. Hold on to thumb is an option if you're finding difficult to take the hands into the palms, or release the arms out and cross them over the other way, so lengthen them out. Reverse that up, palms come together, and then just that exhale as you draw the elbows towards the front of the mat. And then releasing the arms out. I'm going to take the hands out wide to start with, and then bring the fingers around the back of the head and interlace. Try and get the elbows on the ground and the lower back and middle back into the floor. See my trousers in the way there. I'm going to draw the knees above the hips in together, and then point the toes away so it gets a nice right angle between shins and the floor. And we're just going to take that right elbow up towards the left knee. We'll lengthen the right leg out and keep the left elbow on the floor. We'll roll the whole spine and the head back to the ground. Take it over to the second side. We come back, we cross over. So squeezing them out nice and slowly. Drawing those core muscles in. And then we'll come back to the center and just roll gently onto the right side. Use the hands to press into the floor and rock our way back up. We're going to cross the ankles over, roll into the shins, bring the hands forward a little bit, tuck the toes underneath. Oh, let us stretch out into down dog. Walking the legs out gently. Now just slowly start to walk the feet towards the front of the mat. I'm going to kind of pedal them in. So let's keep the hips nice and high. And pressing the heels more towards the back of the mat as we work through this. So eventually the feet will get flat to the floor. It gets trickier to extend out through the legs and keep them open, getting more into a pike. Eventually we have to waddle back to the front of the mat, so we land with the feet kept distance apart. Let those ribs sit on the thighs, bend the knees as much as we need to. And shake out the tailbone a little bit, just gently from side to side if that feels good. A tiny little sway from side to side. Seeing how the back feels and reacts to that. If it feels okay, you can allow yourself to straighten one leg completely, bending the opposite knee, and then moving across. But you kind of give it a little bit of a tester, see how the back feels. If there's any kind of suspicious feelings in the nerves in the lower back, then I would recommend highly not doing this and just letting yourself hang. All of us have different backs. So some of us are going to feel it differently to others, and you need to work with what you've got. And some days I can do this, and some days I can't. So we'll come back into a nice steady position and just bring the hands onto the hips and let ourselves lift up. And we'll take the hands high as we breathe in, into the heart. Exhale down. So shifting the weight into the toes a little bit so you feel the thighs lift as you draw the belly in and fold over. Bring the hands onto the hips again. Shoulders and elbows draw back, long spine and lift up. Inhale high. Exhale through. Shift and lower down. Let ourselves lift. Now this time we're going to just draw the hands up towards the sky. And then bring the hands back down to our side of the body. We'll do that 3 times. So that's 1, 2. Feels a little like Sesame Street. We're learning to count this morning. 3. We'll take another 3, but we'll come up onto tippy toes. So inhale up. Exhaling down. Trickier than this sounds. Roll, wobbling around rather a lot this morning. There we go. One last time. As the hands and the heels come down to the floor, we'll zigzag the toes in so they touch. Bring the hands in towards the heart, soften the knees, and sit down into chair pose. I'm going to exhale down a little lower. Exhale down a little lower. Extend the hands up towards the sky. So keeping the arms as much as we can in line with the body, drawing the belly in. Weight is in a little more into the heels. So this will generate a little bit of heat in the body. Try and squeeze the knees together. Keep them well attached. We'll take this into revolved version of chair. So bring the hands in towards the heart. We'll take it right elbows across to the left. So it might sit down a little further. So it's easy to reach that elbow across the thigh. And then press the heel of the hand together. And we'll take the eyes slowly around to the side of the mat. Try and keep the knees together. Quite often when you take the revolved version, one knee will slide forward. So you want to keep the sitting bones centered over the mat. Keep the thighs pressing together. Lengthen the spine out of the pelvis. One more breath here. Revolve around slowly, keeping it low to the other side. Slowly turning the head. Come back into the center. We'll bring the hands to the floor and then let the legs open out and drop the body down. So the forward fold with the legs together is a little bit tighter in the hamstrings. Sort of working on different threads of muscles. We'll bring the hands onto the hips, lengthen the chest forwards a little bit, soften the knees a fraction, bring yourself up slowly. And then just shake it all out a little bit. So from the front of the mat, we'll take sun salutation, draw the hands up high into the heart as we exhale over and down. And we'll take the right foot to the back of the mat, big step. On the fingertips, we're in lunge, we press the back heel away. Keep the front knee over the ankle. On the fingertips, we lift the chest, draw the belly in a little bit, roll the shoulders back. Drop the back heel down, ready for warrior two. Bring the hands alongside the thighs or onto the front thigh if you wish to lift up with a little more assist. Really connecting the feet down into the floor, spreading the toes out. We'll take the hands high above the shoulders, rotate, try and lengthen out slowly with control over the front thigh. Bring the hands down to the floor, ready for plank. We step out. Push forwards on the tiptoes, half planks. Turn the bootlaces and then we'll lift the chest up and open. Lengthen the tailbone away, draw the belly in, and then ease ourselves back into that down dog. Now you can take that more quickly, but it becomes tricky to really get in touch with lengthening the body out and making it long. So just taking that little slower breath, a little slower movement into the pose adds considerable value to our practice. We'll draw the right knee in towards the chest, bring the foot through into the lunge. A bit of a frog in the throat this morning. And then lift ourselves into that deep hip drop, strong pressing the leg back. Take a little breath from here, push off the toes, front of the mat, ease the body in towards the thighs, bring the hands onto the hips, and let ourselves lift up. We'll take it to the second side, hands high, into the heart, slowly over, and down. Arriving to left leg sliding back, stretch out into the lunge. Drop the heel in. Warrior two, lift a style of choice. So feeling the groins open. So we're trying to literally open the legs out a little bit. That kind of opening movement. So be careful the front knee doesn't drop in center line. Get the back leg firmly attached to the ground. You should feel the thigh muscles lifting and the buttocks drawing a bit. Take the hands high, rotate slow, lengthen out. Ready for plank as we step it back. We push forwards on the tippy toes. Ribs and elbows meet. Shoulders are broad. We lift up. Lengthen the tailbone away. Get that good extension in the spine. And then lift. So some softer breaths for hopefully most of us in down dog. Physically still quite a strong pose. But it does have that restful feeling when you're more familiar with the pose. And then we'll draw that left knee in towards the chest. Bring the foot through into lunge again. Fingertips, get length in the body. And then press off the toes. Forwards, drop it in deep. Whoops, too deep there. Let the fingers go. Hands onto the hips and lift up. Got carried away with my own instructions. Inhale high. Exhale down. So we'll take a second round. This time we'll take a little twist into this. So we'll come into the lunge, dropping the right foot to the back of the mat, right hand to the floor. We'll take the left hand forward, rotate the body, and lift the hands towards the sky. Press down through the bottom hand, press out through the long leg, draw the knee towards the body a little bit. And bring the hand back down to the floor. We'll drop the foot back in for warrior two. Hands alongside the thighs if you wish. Remember, you can always bring them onto the front thigh if you need to. Take it a little easier first thing in the morning. A couple of big breaths here. Float the hands high. Lengthen out again. Keep the back foot grounded as we come in to the floor. Ready for plank. We spin the foot. Take the other leg back. Push forwards on the tippy toes. Bring the elbows into the ribs. Shoulders are broad and wide. Press away. Lengthen. Exhale it out. So we're warming up a little bit. That down dog possibly getting a bit longer, a little deeper. Hips a little higher. Chest a little lower to the floor. Shoulders opening out. Whilst that's happening, just check that all of the knuckles stay attached to the floor. And we'll draw the right knee in towards the chest. And bring the foot through into the lunge. Push off the toes. Fold in a little deeper. Hands onto the hips. Keep the belly drawn in as we lift. Inhale high. Last side, exhale down. Taking the left foot, back of the mat, big lunge. Right hand lifts, rotate. I'm going to draw the knee in a little bit. Draw the chest into the thigh, so you're working together to keep on the center. Makes breathing a little trickier, more built ribs and chest breath. One more big breath here. Float the arm forwards and down to the floor and step it back into high plank, so hips are in line with the shoulders. We push forwards on the tippy toes. Lower the elbows into the ribs. Lift up. Long spine. Shoulders draw open. Back into that down dog. So in down dog, worth mentioning that the heels want to spend a little bit of time hiding behind your ankles. That way you know your feet and your legs are nicely aligned. One more breath here. We'll draw that left leg in for the final time. Nice big lunge, drawing the foot as far forward as we can. And then pressing off the toes. Sinking in. Hands onto the hips and lifting up. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Now we'll exhale down to the floor. Take another breath. Right foot back, drop the heel in. Bring the hands alongside the body. Lift, hold. Exhale, open it up into your warrior two. Float the arms to the sky on the breath in. Both hands to the inside of the front foot. Walk the fingers around to the long side, turning the toes in. You might want to take the feet out a little wider. Going to be on the fingertips to start with. Lengthen the body forwards, tailbone back. Just play around with the weight a little bit in the feet. So you kind of shift forwards and backwards until you find this nice point of balance. Feeling the thighs squeeze together a little bit. We'll take one more breath, keeping the belly drawn in. We'll hinge from the hips. The back stays long and flat. We'll let the elbows bend. And we bring ourselves down. Wherever we get to, we get to. We'll try and press the feet into the floor and the hips high. Shoulders nice and wide rather than wrapping around the ears. And then we'll lift up slowly. Allow ourselves to walk the hands gently around to the front end of the mat. Take a breath in the lunge as we press out through the back foot. Step it into the forward fold. Hands onto the hips, and we'll take it to the second side, but we'll reverse the hands behind. So slightly different grip. Bring the hands down to the heart. Weight into the toes as ever. Left foot back. Drop the heel in. Hands alongside. A little lift and squeeze of the shoulders. We're trying to get used to that idea of opening the chest out. And then we'll float open, cartwheel into your warrior two. Take the hands high. Bring them onto the inside of that front leg. Slowly walk around long side of the mat. So make your little adjustments to how wide your feet are apart. I found a slippy part on the mat, so I'm going to shimmy along a little bit. Don't want to be doing the splits in this one. And then I'll take the hands behind the back. So I'm going to keep the body lengthening out, sort of half held up. See if I can bring the heels of the hands together. Squeeze the shoulder blades for a moment. So there's a little softness in the knees. Plenty of pressing the feet into the floor. And then again, when we've got that length in the body, we'll hang down gently towards the ground and let the hands lift towards the sky. Now, if the hands happen to be able to drop over towards the side of the mat, that's great. But otherwise, skybound will be enough. Squeeze the shoulders together a little bit. Last breath here. Ease the hands down onto the hips and then to the floor. Lift up halfway. Walk the fingers around into the lunge. Take a little breath. We'll step forwards. Fall down deep. Bring hands onto the hips. Soft knees and lengthen up. So quite strong on the legs. Inhale high. Hands into the heart. Exhale down. We're going to step back into a down dog. And just use this as a transition. Bring ourselves into plank and lower the knees down into the floor. So coming into tabletop position. We'll take the block behind. And let ourselves sit back into Dandasana. So we've warmed things up a little bit. Legs are out in front. Feet are together. Toes draw back. Body lengthens up. Wriggle out those sitting bones a little bit. Lengthen the legs away. Work on just opening this top part of the chest. We're going to be using that in a moment. Okay, I'm going to take a seated twist. So we'll take the left leg under first, out to the right hip. Check the knees pointing forward, square to the hips. We'll take the right foot over. Lifting the left hand, we cross over towards the right, counter-levering. Try and let the pelvis tilt that ratchet forwards a little bit, so the lift of the spine comes from the base. And we'll release. We'll take it across to the second side. Rotate round. And looking over the back shoulder. Remember the base tilts forwards, the spine lifts, the chest open. And again, we can release. So those legs out in front. This time we'll take the feet kind of sitting bone distance apart. So we've got about 4 or 5 inches between the feet. And to draw the right heel in, so it's more towards the sort of outside edge of the sitting bone. I want the shin to be vertical rather than hanging out to the side. I want it to kind of draw in a little bit. Make sure that this extended leg, the foot, points up towards the sky, so the whole leg internally rotates a little bit. And take the left hand a little bit behind the left hip and press the fingertips into the ground so I can pass my body through, hopefully, the sort of center line of the mat. I'm going to take the right hand out and just see if I can hold on to the toes of the left foot. Easing it in a little bit. Now press the right knee into the armpit on the right side a little bit. I'm going to see if I can tease myself forwards a little bit, but drawing the belly in, pressing the tailbone back a little bit more. And you might be able to take the hand around the outside edge of the foot, but if not, just holding on to big toe is fine. Now I'm going to release this hand and swoop it out. Now I want to keep the connection of that arm and leg together. Bend the elbow, bring the hand back towards the right hip. Allow myself to take the left hand away from the floor. Hook the fingers. Turn the chest a little bit more towards the front of the mat. And lift the chest up and forwards. That gives you some space. And we'll release gently from there. Take the legs out again. Remember, hip distance apart. Sit up tall. Left leg comes in. Again, we're looking for that vertical line in the shin. So you kind of wiggle the foot out to adjust. Work with your body. The knee is as close in as you can get. Again, we're just tilting the pelvis forwards and up a little bit. So we're starting that sort of to compensate for any negativity going backwards. Right hand is behind the hip. We can push forwards on the fingertips a little bit to help draw the body through, make a little bit of space. Final little adjustments, wiggling the feet around. And then when you're ready, reach out. Again, we're working on drawing the belly in, getting length in the spine. And then we'll release that hand, turn the palm out, hook the hand around, fingers towards the hip bone on that left side. If you can get your fingers to just touch the edge of your hip bone, and then you've got a chance when you take your right hand around to find it, that the hands will sort of get together. If not, they're just moving in that direction. Draw the chest forwards. Can't quite make it as small this side. That's okay. Going to continue to lift up. Draw the chest forwards a little bit. Almost there. Got fingers touching. Can't quite get one finger to lock. So keep leaning forwards. Drawing up. Remember the front extended leg is lengthening out. The toes are spread towards the sky. And we can release from there. Roll those wrists around a little bit. And to come off of the block and just take that towards the back of the mat. Hands behind to roll the spine down into the floor. We'll keep the knees high, but take the feet wide, let the knees rocket. Hands out wide. We're going to scissor the legs out to each side, so we'll take a breath over to the left. Really relax those shoulders down. They've done a lot of work in that last pose. So hopefully feeling a little bit of length down the side of the body when we're in this pose. We're trying to let the hips feel like they're moving away. And we'll lift the knees high, recenter, roll to the last side. And lift the legs back up. Realign the spine and slide a heel at a time out to the corner edges of the mat. Bring your hands a little closer to the body. Soften the jaw as we close the eyes. Breathe easy. So wriggle the fingers and toes. Liven up the wrists and ankles a little bit as we breathe a little deeper into the chest. enjoy a nice stretch out. And then ease the heels along the floor back in. We're taking that nice, gentle, relaxed hug, whatever that looks like. And then rolling onto our right side. Taking a breath, pressing into the floor to lift smoothly back up. Sitting posture of choice as ever. Hands into the heart. We take a breath in as we lengthen the spine, closing the eyes. Exhale, the jaw can drop. Body bows to the floor to seal the practice. Breath comes back in to lift us high. Head lifts as it follows the breath, eyes open. Namaste. Have a wonderful day and a great week. See you soon.